Welcome to the Freitae Effect. I am your host, Simon Freitae, and I am here with, I will let her introduce herself.
Hello, I am your co-host, Azeb Freitae, and we are here on the Freitae Effect. Welcome. In Boston, Massachusetts, it is currently 64 degrees Fahrenheit with a 0 chance of precipitation.
Blessed.
Well, Simon, how are you this evening?
Well, since we are NPR Politics Podcast,
Allegedly.
I would like to... So I'm slipping out.
Please don't sue us.
Yeah. So, hi. I'm good. You know, I'm alive, awake, alert, enthusiastic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm there.
I'm really not there.
I know, but...
I am the opposite of that.
As long as I smile through all the pain, I'm there.
Yeah.
Yay.
Life's great.
It is. How you doing?
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. We're here, guys. We're recording. We're having it.
We're having it.
Yeah.
But we're here with you, so welcome.
Hello.
Thank you for coming back. If
Welcome.
you keep coming back, we appreciate you.
Heck yeah.
Anywho, we're gonna get right into it. So this week's topic is a topic that is near and dear to our hearts, and it is about hair.
Hey.
Not the movie.
No.
Not the musical.
Nope.
Not hairspray.
Not yet.
Not hair product.
Mm-mm.
Maybe we'll
Kinda.
get there
Yeah, we'll
a
get
little
there.
bit. But our precious, precious hair.
Yep.
And the reason why we decided to talk about this is because hair in our lives, specifically us two, but in the communities that we come from, it's very prominent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a very key part of identity, especially being Ethiopian or being Black. It's just part of the experience that helps you or allows you to relate to other people, right?
Kind of like find your sense of identity and like the way you stick out between people of like your own hairstyle and stuff.
Yeah, and there's just like so many things to talk about.
Yeah.
Like there's just levels of hair, you know? There's the hair on your head, there's the hair on your face, there's the hair on the rest of your body.
Yeah.
So we kind of just wanted to go there because you're going to find out.
Yeah. What a great way to lead in.
Anyways, shall we turn some tables?
Let's turn these tables. So, this week's turn, how the turns have tabled, I will say it correctly for once, is about this time when I was very self-conscious about hair that was on my head, but was not my head hair. So, what I am speaking about is when I was in 6th grade,
You did a lot of stupid shit in 6th grade.
I did a lot of stupid shit
It was
until
really
7th
funny.
grade. 7th grade, I had Miss Norberg, and she was like, Simon, you're kind of wrong about all of this, but like, there's this one thing you could do better, and then you won't get suspended. And I was like, oh, girl, you right. So
She was always on your side.
yeah, because she saw the ridiculous shit. So, mind you, this was 6th grade. We are middle schoolers. That is the worst time to be a human being. And these children decided to tell me, hey, Simon, you got a fucking unibrow. I didn't. I totally did not have a unibrow. There were other people in the class I saw had unibrows, and I was like, oh my God, I must be at this level. So then the next, I internalized
Had
this.
you never looked in a mirror?
I hadn't felt like I had a unibrow before because Dad has a unibrow, and
Dude,
like
yeah.
we totally were just like, these are normal eyebrows. They aren't, Dad. Get it together. We love you. This
Don't
isn't
even get me started.
yeah,
We'll get there.
Yeah, one day. So I'm in the shower. I've internalized all this Simon has a unibrow stuff, and I just see someone's razor, and I go, it's happening, and I just I just go at my eyebrows. It was just, I get out of the shower and I felt beautiful because as a 12-year-old boy, you know, who just took a razor to his fucking eyebrows, all you know is that they're not one. You totally got two, hopefully. I come out of the shower. I did not have two. So
You had like
half of
you
one.
had like one. You had like 75% eyebrows.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was like, why is Simon taking so long in the shower? And I was like, Simon, can I use the bathroom? Like I have to pee. And then you were like, yeah. And then like I opened the door and like you came like after you like were dry or whatever. You like came out and then I was like, dude, why does your face look so different? And then you were like, what do you mean? And then I was like,
because I thought it looked good.
yeah. And I was like, did you just shave your fucking eyebrows? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, dude, you're missing like a big chunk of your face right now. And you, well, it grew back Like within like a couple weeks, it grew back.
Oh, totally.
It wasn't that bad.
I remember going to school and just being like, well, I've done this. Like, just like it's not coming back anytime soon, and no one fucked with me.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it was like they all like gave me shit, but I was just like, well, I don't have a unibrow anymore, guys. And then they're like, damn. So that's how you turn it on bitches. Just
don't let
get rid
bullying get to you, bro.
Yeah, bring
Especially
it back
if you're,
to them.
like, yeah. Oh
Show
my
them
God.
no eyebrows.
Yeah, just be like, you got a unibrow? Bet. I got no
I
fucking
got
eyebrows.
zero brow.
Say less. I'll get rid of my whole brows.
Oh my God.
Damn, yo. I actually have one this week.
Oh.
So, way back in the day, way back in little mini me Azeb time.
Oh, what's mini me, Azeb?
When I was little, when I was a little mini version of myself.
Okay.
So anywho, I used to be terrified of the brush, quote unquote. You know this. So my hair was there's so many stories to share about my hair growing up. And when my mom would be like ready to brush my hair, I would see the brush in her hand and I would just start screaming and run away. So because of that, our neighbors thought that she was beating me because I'd be like, ah! And I'd just be like, no, because it hurt when she used to brush my hair because I have a sensitive ass head. So one day, my mom's doing my hair and I'm crying and screaming because, like, you know, she whipped out the brush.
Yep.
She did not whip out the brush to beat me, though. She whipped out the brush to brush my hair. So the cops knock on our door, and everyone in my family is like newly immigrants in America. So they're all like, why the fuck are the cops here? So they're thinking it's like immigration. And so the cops are at the door and they're like, excuse me, can we speak to the child that is screaming? And I'm just like, and then like, they're like, are they beating you? And I was like, no, they're doing my hair. And then they were like, are you sure? And I was like, yes, it's the brush. And they were like, what do they do with the brush? And I'm like, brushing my hair. And then they left. And I was like, wow, our neighbors really called the cops because they thought I was getting beat. Yeah. So I was like, I really need to chill. But also, the shit hurt, man.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Woo, I love that story. Oh my God. No, you know me, I had a similar reaction whenever Dad would cut my hair. Like, he'd get like a third of the way through and then it would just snag once and I would freak out.
Yeah,
and then
I'd
just
that.
run
You'd be
around
like,
the house. I'd be like,
anymore.
nope, we're done. No more cutting my hair. And then
You'd be
he's just
yeah,
like,
it's
no,
over.
it's almost close. We're almost there. We're like halfway there. And he's just started touching my head. I'm just like crying and shit. Oh, fuck. But yeah, no, I never took it to the level of getting the cops called on me.
Yeah.
Because it's only a fucking haircut and I was a little bitch. But yeah, no, I feel for you and your coarse hair.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I'd be brushing my own hair now that I have it. And it's
now you understand.
Oh my God, yeah.
There was a lot of pain
As a
child.
Yeah.
Because you think that, like, you know, that like your skin gets used to it, but no, if you're a tender-headed little kid, you're fucking tender-headed forever. Like, you just have to mentally prepare for it. Yeah. Or you find other ways to brush your hair so it doesn't hurt. You start from the bottom and you work your way up, you know?
Yeah.
Especially we're speaking because both of us have really curly hair.
Yep.
Whereas, like, I don't know how people with quote unquote fine textured hair, which is a weird word to use for white people with straight hair or Asian people that have hair that is fine, right? Whereas black hair is described as
coarse.
Nappy or coarse, right? So it's like, even with the adjectives, which we will literally get into right now. So, our main segment. Simon, would you like to open with your beautiful article at hand?
Yeah, so the article I found was called the Decriminalization of Black Hair by Gina Belafonte on the New York Times.
Gina Belafonte.
Gina Belafonte.
Oh, is she not a jazz singer?
The guest artist who wrote this ditty on February 21st of this year. So it's not too recent, but it's kind of fucking recent.
Well, it happened within this year, so
yes, it happened.
Let's get right to it then.
Basically, as some of you may know, there is something called discrimination, and it happens to black people because of their hair. Hello. So, this article goes on to talk about how Okay, the way that it fancily says it is one of the rare municipalities in this country to codify the link between prejudice and personal presentation. Oh, it's because essentially, employers, landlords, other institutions, and gatekeepers will engage in a persistent form of racism that renders certain judgments of how African Americans wear their hair. And now they will be subject to penalties and civil damages should they harass, threaten, fire, or deny admission or affiliation to anyone based on their particular set of grooming choices.
So wait, let's pause for a second. So what's the context of this story that you're actually telling us? Like, where is it happening? Like, what's the situation?
So the U.S. is racist.
Yes.
And
accepted.
Yeah. And basically
we're not happy about.
No.
Clearly.
Facts. So yeah, employers have been either not employing, like not hiring people after the interview because of the way they wear their hair, or even it goes on to talk about people who have gotten fired from jobs because of their hair, because they'll wear it straight when they come in for the interview, and then they'll have dreadlocks like when they come in for the first day or something. And it's just talking about like, these people have, and it's the United States, as I said, but so it's all right fucking here. It's like around the globe, like New Jersey, New York. It's centered, a lot of more of these interviews and stuff are in the Northeast. I imagine just because that's who she had access to.
Exactly. New York Times.
So they talk more about their issues with their hair, like the cold weather, and how they'll have their hair in locks because they'll want it to be like it keeps it from getting coarse when the weather's cold.
Yeah, it's a form of protection.
Exactly. And so then,
which honestly I did not learn until, because personally me, I never grew up wearing wigs or weaves or any kind of protective style for my hair other than putting it in braids. But until like my friends like that I know, like my black girlfriends started saying that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Because it's like, first of all, easier to take care of your hair. Even though, shit can be like itchy or like, you need to like do what you got to do, pat, you feel. So that it doesn't get ruined. But at the end of the day, it's like good for your roots and whatnot. Yeah. If excuse me, if you take care of it the proper way. Yeah, which I wouldn't know because I have not done that.
But also this does bring up a point I was thinking about. There is a difference between hygiene and natural hair. So like y'all, like I have definitely seen some people that like if you don't take care of your hair, it's not going to look good in like just a sense of like it's unhealthy. Like, like it's, I don't know. I feel like
honestly,
it gets to a
that's
point
just kind
of
of like common sense for any type of hair. And
like it shows in like the way that like, I don't know. It's just like a natural sense when you see someone, you're like, okay, they're kind of disheveled. Like, maybe they have a lot going on. They're overwhelmed. Like that kind of like sign that can be given off in an interview, which is like someone can see that and be like, okay, maybe this person isn't super put together. But like, there's also a difference of like, oh, well, this person just has like super curly hair and hair is fucking art.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, it doesn't have to be in a certain way. Like, even there was a girl that I was teaching in the box center, and like I saw her hair and I was just like, I don't know if I really like this hairstyle. Like, it kind of, to me, I was judging it, like I was being super judgmental. I was like, it kind of looks a little messy to me. But then Kai goes up to her and was just like, your hair is literally amazing. I've never seen any hair like it, like blah, 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 blah. And she's like, thanks, I really try. And I was like, wow. Like, it took like a different person's perspective for me to see like, maybe this is the white side of me just being like, her hair has to be like a certain way.
You don't
like,
have to even say
together.
the white side. It could just be internalized racism that you didn't even realize that you were kind of applying. But other than that, what was the hairstyle, if I may ask?
It was mostly just like, it looked like my bedhead. Like, it's just like when like my hair's like super pushed in on the sides, but then it's like floofy on the top.
Oh, so she was trying to rock like a fro hawk.
Yeah.
But it just didn't look like 100%.
But it was more like a, Gerald from Hey Arnold.
Yeah, like a flat top.
Yeah, but it just wasn't up yet. Like,
So
Yeah.
it was like in the developing stages.
Yeah, and that's a thing, too, when you're growing your hair out, like the developing stages, because, like, I remember Dad warned me about that. He was like, people are going to say your hair looks like shit all the time. And I was just like, I know. I'm ready for it, because it looks like shit to me short. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There's also this level of, like, if you don't have access to proper hair care products, or if you just don't know what the products are that are correct for your hair type, or, I mean, especially, like, shout out to Tracee Ellis Ross for the line that she's about to drop for curly hair, which is called Pattern. She's not sponsoring this episode, but like, hey girl, if you hear us, hey. But yeah, she's trying to make a hair care line that's affordable for all and is like the proper amount of quantity for you to actually use. Like, especially, if you have curly hair or like coarser type of hair, which we need to find a better word than coarse. You are more likely to use a shit ton of conditioner versus using, just like shampoo and conditioner. You might use a co-wash. You might use no shampoo because it sucks the sulfates suck the moisture out of your hair. So there's the level of access to proper hair care, and then also like just resources in general and knowledge of just like where you can learn. If you didn't grow up around people who have your hair type, like if you're adopted and you grow up in a white community and you're black, like, and your like white parents don't do you right, or like whoever is the person that's taking care of you that isn't culturally competent on how to take care of your type of hair while you're growing up, then there's going to be a lot of damage and a lot of emotional shit that you're going to go through because you're going to be surrounded by people who are not from your community, who are not going to be able to provide any active feedback other than what they can find on Google, versus like actually talking to people of color from your community that can direct you in the right direction, yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry.
Well, yeah, because like I was lucky to have you, because then when I decided to start growing my hair out, then it was just like, you were like, okay, cool, so you need to start using leave-in conditioner like right fucking now. And I was like, what the hell? And she's like, you need product. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, especially because there's a big difference between the way that guys take care of their hair and the way that girls take care of their hair. You know what I mean? I mean, we have like similar hair texture, but as a guy, you're not taught, I need to buy 600 things of product. You know what I mean? Like as a girl, it's shoved in our face from when we're born of, you need this product for your skin. You need this product for your hair. You need this product for your armpits. You need this product for your toes. Yep. Whereas like for guys, it's like, you can use shampoo and conditioner in one for your whole body.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, here's the routine that you need to do to make sure that your curls are popping.
Yeah, because not everything always works for everyone too. Like I remember, I think Jeff told me to use like Tresemme, and then like I started using it, and then you were like, never use
No, that
Tresemme.
shit makes your hair fall out.
I was like, damn. But like, it's just different people use different stuff depending on what they're trying to get out of their hair. Like, yeah, but. So going back into the article, there was one thing that really stuck out to me. It was a black woman who interviewed at a Banana Republic, because it just like, she goes in, her hair was in braids, and she was told it was unkempt and urban. For those of y'all that don't know, urban means black.
And then for those of you who say urban, well, I'm working with urban kids in the urban community, you're saying black
people
or people of color.
Yep. And it's just don't call
just stop
urban.
saying it.
Urban is a
city.
It's a city. Like,
if you're gonna say city, just say city, kids.
Yeah, there's no
everyone
urban
knows
people.
what that means.
Gosh.
God.
So,
or just say it. I work with people of color.
Yeah.
That's it.
I work
or
with
specifically black people,
Yes.
or Latinx,
Yeah.
or Asians, or everyone else that is not white.
And her manager. Okay, because this shit keeps getting thicker. Like, you think that it's gonna stop, but it's not gonna stop.
The pudding gets
so this
thicker.
is one big story. So her manager,
she thick.
or the manager that was interviewing her, This is the story where like she tells him like about the winter and like, you know, how it gets coarse if she doesn't have her hair in braids. And so it's a white man, and he suggests she use shea butter.
Oh my God.
And it's like, what the fuck? Like, are you? Do you have the hair? Do you use shea butter? Who do you do this for?
Thank you.
It like it like the first thing I thought of with this was just like a like fucking birth control all over again, like with white men speaking on the experience of women, like.
And that's a lot of. As I was preparing for this episode, I was like, pretty much at the end of the day, it's your hair. That's a part of your body. Whatever the fuck you choose to do with it. Nobody should be imposing their shit on you on what you should be doing with your hair.
Seriously.
Unless, like, you really, like, need some access to, like, some stuff.
Unless it's to, like, literally make your hair healthier. Like, if it's out of support, that's different than, like, tearing someone down, not allowing someone to grow, like literally not allowing someone to grow because it's growing fucking hair. Yeah. Hair is a garden.
It is a garden. Oh wow, that goes into my theory for later. We'll come back to that.
Yeah. But the end of this article basically goes into how multiple cases have been filed ever since this law has gone to an effect that employers and all these people can't discriminate based on natural hair. And it basically ends with saying how, like, I don't know, the person goes into a rant about how, like, white men run everything and, like, how casual Fridays were just white men in the 90s getting sick of wearing suits all the time and how, like, everything is just catered to that. And I was just like, bitch, this is a man's world. So, like, it's obvious. Yeah. That's my article.
And that was the article section with Simon Freitae. Amazing.
Indubitably.
Well then.
It is 8:27 p.m.
That was an estimated time. It may not be that time exactly. But let's take this moment to take a quick break.
We're back!
Okay. I didn't even give it like 2 fucking seconds.
Did you actually want to take a break?
Yeah. Hey.
Howdy.
So we just want to take a second to thank you so much for listening to us and to remind you of a few things.
1. Please follow us on Instagram at The Freitae Effect, on Twitter at TFEpod, and like us on Facebook.
2. Spread the love and share. Friends can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, follow on SoundCloud and Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio.
3. We want to hear from you. So we accept all forms of feedback and affirmations, or if you have something that you want us to discuss that you find interesting, you can email us at thefreitaeseffect@gmail.com.
And last but not least, go to patreon.com/thefreitaeseffect and subscribe to become a patron, or make a small donation to help us continue producing this podcast, because you know why?
Because the shit ain't free.
Alrighty, let's get back to the show.
And we are back from our break.
Hello. Okay, we're back. So to continue our conversation of how hair is racialized, essentially, I kind of just wanted to dive a little deeper and provide some definitions before I go into talking about the history and the stories that we're about to share with y'all. So pretty much, when I think of how hair is racialized, I think of 2 or 3 terms. So 2 terms that came into mind at first is the word eurocentric and the idea of eurocentric beauty standards and how that is the norm. And I just want to give you the definition of what eurocentric means. And it means focusing on European culture or history to the exclusion of a wider view of the world, implicitly regarding European culture as preeminent. So from that, when you think of European, most Europeans that come to mind at first are white people.
The British.
I mean, literally Italians, Irish, Scottish.
Well, I just always think of Great Britain trying to take over the world.
Yeah, like colonizers.
Yeah.
Essentially, when you think of Europeans, you think white people. Or at least I do. I'm not imposing my views on y'all. So the next thought that I had was the word whitewashing.
Whitewash.
And the Merriam-Webster dictionary defines whitewashing as two parts. A, to alter something in a way that favors, features, or caters to white people. And B, to portray the past or current in a way that increases the prominence, relevance, or impact of white people and minimizes or misrepresents that of non-white people. So I wanted to share a story of just the idea of like representation. So as you all know, Simon and I are half white, half black, so we're biracial.
Yeah.
And we identify as Ethiopian mostly because that's what we've been exposed to growing up, culturally. So when I was growing up, you know, I was around both sides of my family quite often, but I spent a lot of time with my grandmother on my father's side. And I remember the first doll that I ever got was when I was probably like 7, and it was a Barbie. And at that time, Barbies were like pretty fucking new. And I had like the first Barbie ever. I remember she was a Valentine's Day special Barbie, and she had like long straight blonde hair. She was white and like very skinny and had blue eyes. She was like my favorite fucking Barbie of all time. I used to have like a suitcase of Barbies. It was fucking lit. And when I was little, I never thought of like, oh, like all of my Barbies were white. Like I never had a black doll until like Bratz came out, and Bratz had Sasha, and Sasha was like the first black doll. And like even amongst the Bratz, there was like one Latina like brat who was like Spanish, but none of them were biracial, you know? So I've never experienced having like a biracial doll growing up. So growing up, I thought what the beauty standard was, or what was considered beautiful or that was praised, was being white, having blonde hair, and blue eyes. And I used to want that when I was like 7.
Yep.
7, as Ari Lennox would say. I was like fucking 7. Okay, if you listen to her interludes. So anywho, that got me to thinking about what kind of representation of my existence did I see as a little girl. And I remember like watching shows like Rugrats, right? And they had Susie.
Yep.
And Susie was there, so shout out to Susie. But again, like Susie was a different kind of black that wasn't representative of the black that I was. So I still didn't have representation, you know? Or I think of what came next was the Proud family. And whereas Penny Proud wasn't exactly half black, half white, she was still light skinned, and I could relate to that. You know? So I was like, all right, I have like something. And then Sister came out, and I was like, oh, Tia and Tamara. But again, they weren't little black girls the way that I was a little black girl. And I also had no idea that they were biracial until I was older. You know? So again, still no cognitive awareness about representation of what I was experiencing. Whereas now there is a better accurate representation, and I say better accurate representation because there may be representation of black people in the media, but it might not be accurate per se, because there could be, as we mentioned in episode 13, minstrel-like representation of black people, where black people are being shown as like this standard stereotype of like loud and eats fried chicken and watermelon, and like whereas like yeah, we do fucking do that shit, like that's not our only existence because there isn't a monolithic experience to being black. So now there is more reflection, and I mean, even for me, like as a young adult, I guess, kind of just an adult now. When I look at my like newsfeed, you know, I follow people like Zendaya, right? And she's like, I think she's like my age, but like I know that I know where to find the representation I'm looking for, and because it exists now. Whereas when I was a kid, that shit was not there. Yep. At least to my awareness. Or there was no active, there wasn't like adults in my life that were actively trying to show me representation of me. you know?
I mean, even like diversity in the media, it was just kind of like okay, this is a black show, but we can't have all black people, so Raven's gonna have one white friend. Or like, oh, this is a white show, but we literally can't have all, it's just like, we'll have
Oh, wait a
one
minute.
black
No,
person.
there can be
like,
a show with all white people. It's called Friends.
Yeah, but like.
And then Ross has a black girlfriend maybe in like season fucking 9.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But like, that was the 90s. I'm talking about.
Oh, the 90s.
That was so
Racism's
long ago.
over.
Like, we were born then.
That was pre-racial America because once we had a black president,
honestly,
we were post-racial.
Actually, once we lived through 2K,
oh yeah, Y2K,
then racism ended because we all feared death the same.
That's a good one.
I tried.
We weren't even really like aware of what was happening in 99.
Nope.
Good stuff.
Scurry.
Yeah. So anyways, the reason why I bring this up is because like representation is so fucking important when you're growing up, because that's when you start to like see, okay, where do I fit in this? Right? Like you walk into a room, immediately you look for other people that look just like you. And if you don't see other people that look like you, then you think there's something wrong with you. And there's this book called Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria by Dr. Beverly Tatum, which I have not started reading yet, but I do have sitting in my room. But she came to my workplace and started talking, and I was like, ah! It was amazing. And she talks about that, of this, like, you look at a picture, the first thing you do is look for everyone that looks like you. And, Simon, we do that so much. Like, we would go to a college campus and be like, start counting all the black people.
Yep.
Not because we know that we're most likely not going to be the majority unless you go to HBCU, but because we're like, oh, let's see how, quote unquote, diverse this school is, or like how hard they try to actually make this a welcoming space for non-white folks. You know?
Yeah.
But the reason why this is relevant to hair is because when you don't see that representation, then you start to question your identity. You start to question the features that you have, and you try to assimilate to white culture. You try to assimilate to eurocentric beauty standards. You think that you're ugly. You think that there is something inferior about yourself because you don't look like everybody else.
That you need to change.
And
yourself.
you think you need to get a blowout. Or especially like, I mean, honestly, whenever I straighten my hair, everyone's like, oh my God, your hair looks so good today. And I'm like, oh, really? So it doesn't look good when it's curly? And when my curls are popping at work, the only people who really comment on my popping ass curls are the black people because they know that my curls are fucking popping, you know? So when you say shit like, oh, your hair looks so good today when it's straight and only when it's straight, that's you falling into Eurocentric beauty standards. So don't be imposing that shit on your friends.
Also, side tangent. This is, sorry, just a perfect plug for me. Don't ever fucking tell your friends who lose weight, you look so good now. The word now literally just means before you were fucking hideous. So, yeah, guys, think about what you say to people when you're trying to compliment them. It's not always a compliment.
Facts.
Okay,
Facts.
sorry.
Refer back to episode 12, Body Positivity.
Body positive.
Anywho, but I also want to highlight another term that arose from this thought, and it is called Afrocentric beauty standards. So the definition for that, what it means to be Afrocentric, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary,
Back to Merriam.
is A, to be centered or derived from Africa or the Africans. I guess that means us. The Africans.
It's mom.
And B, emphasizing or promoting emphasis on African culture and the contributions of Africans to the development of Western civilization.
Yeah, yes.
So the reason why that term is important is because that was part of I feel like that word kind of arose from a time, like maybe in like the 70s, when people were really embracing this time of like rebellion against racism and the civil rights movement and rocking their afros. You know what I mean? And like,
that's around the time that hair came out, wasn't it? Like,
I think so.
musical,
Yeah, maybe in the 60s.
Or
yeah.
it was set in, I don't know. But
Right.
Yeah, because that's, you know, a huge fucking part of it. I mean, I remember seeing the pictures of Jimmy Jamil Tovar. If you never ever need an actor, fucking hire my twin cousin. But I remember seeing the pictures of him and that stuff, and like it's just the big flowy poofy hair and the psychedelic stuff.
Yep.
Yee.
Yep. But I mean, like, it's all about like, you know, rocking your natural hair and like going against Eurocentric beauty standards because you're being Afrocentric. You're emphasizing being African or like being black, you know, and just like taking care of yourself and like being proud of your identity and your culture and how you present yourself and normalizing that shit. You know, instead of getting perms or whatever. And it's like, if you want to do that, like, you can do that. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, do whatever you need to do. But I'm just like saying the difference in what you're actually doing when you're causing that level of damage to your hair to be quote unquote beautiful. That's your definition of beauty. And who's able to, like, who am I to tell you, you know, who am I to shame that, you know? Because honestly, this weekend, I got a fucking haircut and I got a blowout. And it was because I wanted to get a fucking blowout. Because sometimes I just want to get a fucking blowout, you know? Or because when I get a trim, that's what I fucking do. Yeah. I'm like, all right, let me treat myself. I want to have a different look today. Yeah. You know?
Fuck it.
That's it. It's not that deep. Yeah. It's not, ew, I'm fostering Eurocentric beauty centers. It's like, nah, I just wanted to get a fucking blowout. That's it. Yeah. You know?
Sometimes it's nice to see, like, just see something different. Yeah. And then it's just like, okay, cool. We're going back. Yeah. Like,
and that's it. It's simple. Hello. I wash my hair. Call it a day.
Yeah. Because the curls will always come back. Hopefully. Yes. That one day that you just wash your hair and it stays straight.
That's terrifying.
Sorry, don't mean to impose nightmares.
I would actually fucking cry.
Speaking of hair nightmares, I just got to talk about this.
Go ahead.
I think I threatened Zoe multiple times that I would shave her head. And it got, this is definitely how it happened. And it got to the point where she actually had a nightmare that I shaved her fucking head.
Oh,
and
no.
Yeah. And she was like, Simon, you got to stop. And I was like, I did it. Like,
damn. Well, honestly, like, I used to get weird-ass threats from, like, relatives. Like, when Awagu would braid my hair, she would be braiding my fucking hair, and then she would be like, I'm going to shave your head off in your sleep, and I'm going to wear it. And I was like, bitch, you are braiding my hair. Like, this already enough makes me want to cry. And then Bissum, with his bald ass, would say the same thing. He'd be like, I can't wait to shave your hair off and wear it as a wig. I'd be like, what is wrong with you guys? I'm like God. 8 years old. But speaking of Ethiopians, I just need to quote, like, say this. Because, you know, we have to talk about it. Yeah. All right, Simon. In the Ethiopian community, we're just going to say it. What's the number one male hair related issue? Do you know? Because I know. Do you not fear this?
What is it? What?
Having a receding hairline.
Oh, I do not fear this.
I know you don't fear this. Yeah, that's why you don't even know it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, King, you had a full head of hair forever, so
you said, I'm set.
I'm safe. Mama's good. Daddy has hair, so that I have hair. That's how it works.
All right, so I'm good. Yeah. All right, so my kids are good because Dad has hair. Okay, cool. Yeah. Dad's hair is not receding or balding.
Grampy was fine, so yeah.
Okay, good, cool. Awesome.
All right.
But anyways.
We did math.
So, in case y'all don't know, how do you feel about that, the idea of receding hairlines? Like, what would you do if your hairline was receding?
It probably is. I mean, like,
no, but like, what would you do though?
If you, I mean, like,
no, how would you deal with it though?
Well, if I start, it depends how far it goes. Like, if I started getting to the point of like balding on the head, I'd probably just have shorter hair.
Okay.
Yeah, just because.
So you wouldn't do long hair?
No,
But you would do shorter hair.
Yeah, I think.
You wouldn't just go bald?
I would see how far back it goes before I just decide, fuck it, why am I even doing this? Because after a point, it's just like not even that much work to shave all that off. Like, you know, like. Okay. Yeah.
I personally, if that was a problem for me and I was a guy, I would just go bald. I'd rock the bald look. Because sometimes, like, some guys can really rock the bald look.
Think about it though. So much more sunscreen you got to think about.
Okay, I could wear hats.
Okay, all the time wearing hats.
Yeah.
You get hot.
I mean, bald guys do it.
Exactly. You think they're not sick of wearing fucking hats all the time?
You don't have a fucking choice if you're bald.
Exactly, because you're choosing to be bald, so you have a fucking choice.
But your hairline's receding.
Okay, only so much of it is gone.
So you're gonna hold on. You're gonna hold on
for a little bit.
No matter how ridiculous you look.
I did not say that. Okay. I said after a certain point, I give up.
So what is the point?
It's like when you got that
like when it's like peanut level.
What's the backwards? So like when you only have shit on the top, like the opposite of that. When you only have the sides.
Oh,
like, you know.
Yeah.
Like I'd go pretty far back. Like I'd have a 6 head. Like because there's a forehead, there's a 5 finger. So like the forehead is you have 4 fingers that fit on your forehead.
Yes.
Ethiopians have 5 heads to begin with.
So that is our forehead.
Yes. So that is our forehead. 6 head is around where I would be okay with. Once we get to 7 and 8 and 9, that's where Simon goes, okay, we're going bald. We're being proud. We're getting some oil. We're getting a good fucking razor. And I'm going to get so good at shaving my head. It's going to be like silky smooth. But yeah, no, I don't plan on cutting my hair anytime soon unless it's like a trim, just because it's been so fucking long for me to even be able to grow it. So, yeah. Okay,
so that is the men's issues of hair in the Ethiopian community, brought to you by the Freitae. But some stereotypes for Ethiopian women. For me, the way that I can identify an Ethiopian woman very easily, other than from our eyes and like just obvious facial features, is hair. Because usually most Ethiopian women have that hair dye that's like henna-ish color. It's kind of like violet or red-ish or brown-ish. Like it's always like that color. If I'm like chilling in the train station and I see someone and I'm like, oh, that bitch is definitely Ethiopian. Because like they have that hair color. And I'm not gonna lie, I did that fucking hair color. Yeah. But there's this level, for some reason, we're not going to get too deep into this in this episode, but like for some reason, Ethiopians don't associate themselves as black. Like not first generation Ethiopians, but like growing up, you're told, oh, you're not black, you're Ethiopian. And it's like, the fuck? When you grow up in America, you're fucking black. Yeah. But you're also Ethiopian because, yeah, so we're both. In case you didn't know, because there's a difference between nationality and ethnicity and race, which we have described in a prior episode that I cannot recall right now. So anyways, the reason why I bring up, like, you know, the similarities between the Ethiopian community and the black community with hair, other than for the main reason that we are all black, is that that point that you brought up earlier of, you know, black women wear their hair in braids or in weaves or in wigs or like naturally with their fro and their curls. Like there's so much range in terms of how we choose to wear our hair because we can. But also it's a lot of work. And I remember mom started wearing like wigs and weaves like recently. Yep. And we were like, what the hell? Because she always had her hair natural like our whole lives. We gave her so much shit for it. We're like, what the fuck are you doing? And she was like, well, her reasons were obviously valid. And they were like pretty much what we mentioned earlier of just kind of being like, you know, like, it's easier for her to just put it on because it takes less time to get ready in the morning. Yep. It's protective for her scalp and for her like actual hair. And it looks good, you know? And I was just like, you know what, sis? If you are happy with the way that you look and it doesn't bother you and it's not causing any extra damage to you, then fucking do what you gotta do, okay? Yeah. Because if it ain't bothering you, then it shouldn't be bothering me.
Also, it's been quite a fun thing at parties. Because she'll get, like, really hot or just, like, let us start passing it around, and then we'll, like, put it on.
Oh, yeah, the wig.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I look like Mowgli in the wig. Like.
It's funny. You'll see photos. But, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I never wore, like, you know, fake hair or anything. But I remember in high school, whenever I would like do my hair, all the black girls would come up to me and be like, is your hair fake? And I used to get so fucking mad. I used to be like, are you fucking serious? No. Because I worked really hard on like making my hair like, you know, luscious and beautiful and long and whatnot. And now that I think of it, I'm like, oh, that was like probably supposed to be a compliment.
Yeah.
But it just felt like a backhanded ass compliment.
No, I've been asked myself if my hair was fake, and I was like, you really think I'd wear the weave this short? Like, the fuck? Like,
but it was funny because like when I got my hair done this weekend, you know, my hairdresser did my hair and then she spun me around and we both looked in the mirror and we were like, this doesn't even look real. We were like, this is fake as fuck. And I was like, no, but that's my fucking hair. Like, we both were just like, what? And I was just like, damn, girl, slay me.
yeah. Well, your hair did look really, like, silky the last time you, like that Snapchat.
Shout out to Danya, man.
Yeah,
Danya be fucking me up.
I'm excited for her
in
to
the
cut me up.
best way possible.
Cut it!
So I kind of wanted to talk about if you have any, like, super memorable hair stories.
Definitely.
Okay, what are your, like, top few?
Growing my hair.
Ooh,
like,
talk
just
about it.
in general. So I've always wanted to grow my hair out to... I still want to keep growing it. I just, I don't have an endpoint at the moment. My fucking goal is just grow my hair until I get an acting role that tells me, hey, you got to be fucking bald or something. And then I'm like, no. And then they're like, you'll be famous though. And then I go, okay. But yeah, I've never really liked having short hair. The most fun I had with it was when you would like shave my head into like a mohawk and it would just be like super, super like short.
That was a good time.
Yeah. Like,
and that was a good look on you.
Yeah, because that was the only one that I was like okay with because it just was, you know, I always wanted longer hair.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom and I always fought about it. And then like even, you know, other people would tell me that it looked raggedy or like any kind of stuff like that. And I didn't know what I was doing when I was a kid, but I, you know, would just try to grow it as long as possible. And then eventually I just turned 19 and I think I got a haircut on Thanksgiving, and then I decided in that moment like this is my last haircut, like I'm fucking done. And then we were going to Jerusalem, and then I remember getting in like a bunch of like crap about like, oh well, your hair is not gonna look good for all the pictures for like this, that, and the other thing. And I was like, I don't care, I'm gonna grow my fucking hair out.
But that
Eventually,
was just because, and that was just because you were a boy and you were growing your hair out. And there's always this stigma against men who have long hair.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not even gonna talk about the man bun today, but we're just gonna talk about how when a guy has long hair, everyone's like, so when are you cutting it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's this like this whole thing of just like, you know, you're not a professional, clean shaven man unless you don't have fucking hair, because hair is feminine.
Yeah, I remember being told I looked like a girl. I remember being asked when I was going to get a lineup, all this stuff. And I was just like, I'm not going to conform to whatever fucking standards you want. Like, I'm going to have my dad cut my hair because it's fucking free. I'm not going to line my hair up because I just want to have my natural
That's also
fucking
like,
hair.
that's not your look.
Yeah, I was just...
That's not you. That's not your style at all.
Exactly. Like, your hair is supposed to represent... It's a part of your identity. Like, it shows the world, like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna line my hair up because I give a shit about what you think of me, or hey, yeah, I'm just gonna cut my hair because it's fucking long and you know I'm getting a lot of shit and I don't know how to brush it. But then, you know, like I started getting older. Ozib's helping me through shit. I remember one day I was just really drunk with Sarah and a bunch of our friends, and there was just this kid that was like a hairstylist, and he was just like, only put shampoo on your roots, put conditioner on the ends, like all this stuff. And I was just like, okay, boo-boo. Like, I will take from this whatever I want, but I am also black, so I don't know how much to believe.
Yeah, you're like yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like, you know, I've just been picking up stuff all along the way, but all the fucking time, everyone loves my hair. They point out like like the curls are popping or whatever, and then like Papa hallucinates on it, thinking that it's purple sometimes. Like, you know,
tripping.
like, yeah, but
I mean, it's low key kind of a Freitas thing.
What you mean by that?
You know, Johnny Freitas with the curls. He gets all the girls. You don't know about that?
Oh,
yeah.
I like it. I think I did know.
You never heard that story? Papa used to have curls. That's how he got Nani.
Well, Papa still has curls. Like, Yeah.
Anyways,
Papa just has
other
his hairs.
other than our grandfather's luscious curls that he once had that he does not have, and he can talk to you about his hair journey, but he probably won't.
Oh yeah.
And we're not going to talk about it because we're not going to do it to him. But he has had quite the hair journey.
Yeah.
And we're not going to talk about
Well,
it.
also, I feel like all the Freitae men have hair journeys. Like, Dad grew his hair out when we were born, or like when we were kids. Our first male figure was a long-haired man.
Was a dread-headed haired man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Jesus, it's just like
Jesus!
like all these pictures of like this perfect being is long haired. So I'm just like, hey, maybe I don't look like a fucking girl. Anywho, that's just me. How about you?
So for me, my hair memories are not exactly about like hair journeys, but more about when other people who weren't mom had to take care of my hair when I was growing up. And there's like 4 people that just are super distinct in my mind of experiences that I went through that I was like, why the fuck did my mom trust you to do my hair? So like Rai and Beza were the worst. And like they'll probably laugh about this because they've been laughing about it since it happened. But I was like maybe again like 8 or 9ish, and they were babysitting us, and like mom and dad were God knows where. And they were like, okay, we're going to wash your hair. And I was like, you sure? And they're like, yep. So they put my head in the sink, and it's just a fucking mess. And I'm like, this is so bad. And they're just like, we don't know what the hell we're doing. And I'm like, you guys should know what you're doing because you both have hair. And so like, you both have my hair too. So that's why I'm like, what are you doing? But I guess I just had so much hair that they were overwhelmed. And the way that they were brushing my hair, they were like brushing it in sections. And then it just ended up being like really frizzy. And like, I was just like, I'm just going to go to bed. And then the next person I'd like to highlight is Dad. Honestly, Dad did a pretty good job trying to take care of my hair. But I have a conspiracy that he was trying to make me have dreads because he would like be like, all right, Azab, go like in the shower and like use the Pantene or whatever, which is like so fucking bad now that I look back, but like that's what we used, I guess. And
it's still in the shower right now.
Well, that's what y'all use. That's not what I use.
I don't know if anyone uses it. I think it just moved houses with us.
Jesus.
It's like a part of us. Like...
It's a part of history now. Can't let it go. That shit's probably so expired.
Anyways.
But yeah, he'd be like, okay, use the Pantene. And then like I would use it, and then he'd be like, okay, I'm going to brush it now. And he would brush it. But he wouldn't brush it like all the way. And then he'd be like, all right, shake your hair out like a dog. And I'd do that. But I'd be like, Mom would never make me fucking do this. But like, he'd be like, yeah, just let it air dry. And I'd be like, okay. And then he'd get the hair food, which I didn't know what that was until I actually looked at hair food. I was like, oh, this is actually like super good for your hair. It was like coconut oil and like olive oil. It was like a bunch of shit. And I was like, oh my God, we were actually using the right product.
When we got hair food instead of Vaseline.
Oh my God, I thought Vaseline was hair food. It was so bad.
Yeah.
Jeez. So then anyways, he's like brushing my hair, and then he would put it in like a low ponytail and braid it. And I never thought about this, but like there's something about like when fathers do daughters' hair, like, you know, taking care of your kid and like making sure that your kid looks good and not just putting it on your wife or whoever your partner is. Like that is such an essential part of being a parent. And like that's such a bond and an experience that you like go through. And like honestly, I just want to give kudos to Dad for like doing what he did. Although he like low-key left clumps in my braids and they were not tight enough, but you know what? I didn't look crazy, so at least there's that. I didn't look crazy. But out of all of the people who have done my hair, I just need to give the most kudos to my grandmother, because she has dealt with my hair in some times where I have not made it easy for her. And, you know, because me and her, our main thing we would do together when we were like, when I was a kid was go to the beach, because we were always at the Cape. So we'd go to the beach. I'd get a shit ton of like sand in my hair. I'd get a bunch of seaweed in my hair. And then we'd go home and she'd be like, all right, Azeb, you need to wash that shit out of your hair on your own. So I'd go wash my hair and I'd try to get as much of it out as possible. And then we'd sit on the porch and she'd just like brush it all out, because you know why? She used detangler because she's a genius, instead of like just trying to brush it out without any product, because she cared about how my scalp felt when she was brushing it. And probably because she knew how traumatized I was from the brush. So I just want to say shout out to Nani.
The brush.
The brush. But other types of hair that we should definitely talk about is body hair, baby.
Body hair.
Your body hair. And kind of just like the differences that men and women have to experience with body hair. Because I know your experiences are significantly different from my experiences in terms. And when I say body hair, I mean your armpits, your legs, your face. What you have to do to upkeep all that shit. So, Simon, I mean, this will probably be very simple for you. Do you ever worry about your armpit hair?
Okay, I used to.
Please explain that.
So when I, growing up, I just didn't really have much body hair at all. I don't know if it was because I was chubby. Like, I've heard that, like, being fat, like, your skin is kind of, like, stretched out a little bit, so your hair probably doesn't protrude as much as if you're skinnier. But... you know, I just didn't have hair to begin with, so I didn't feel like a man. And then,
Funny how body hair equates masculinity, but head hair, yeah, it's the opposite. Okay.
Yep. And, so I didn't have, like, armpit hair at all. Like, I had, like, 3 going into college. So I'm gonna be completely fucking candid with the whole fucking world right now. For my first year of college, I fucking shaved my armpits because I wanted it to fucking grow faster, and it didn't happen. So I gave up, and then, like, junior year, I was just like, well, I still kind of don't have armpit hair, and then by the end, I was like, what the fuck? So, like, your body does whatever it wants, guys. Like, you just gotta fucking wait. But yeah, so, like, my armpits, I think that was the only thing I really gave a shit about. Yeah, legs and arms after, like, 6th grade when everyone else started getting that shit. I was just like, I'm gonna be bald forever. And then I got, like, the little babies. And I was like, hello, little babies. And then facial hair didn't happen until, like, senior year of college. So, like...
really?
Well, real facial hair. Like, you know,
explain,
like,
what does that mean?
like a goatee instead of, like, a pedo mustache. Like...
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the time periods in which my facial hair and other body hair started to grow. But for me, like, when it comes to, like, shaving my legs, especially as a woman, like, I don't know. I feel like I used to actually care way more in high school because I used to be like, okay, I'm going to wear a dress, whatever. Like, somebody's going to see my legs, so, like, I should shave. So that, like, whenever it was, like, seasonal, that's when I would care about shaving. Now I'm at the point where it's just like, yeah, I'm good. Like, if nobody's going to touch my legs, then I'm not going to shave them. Or if I look at my legs and I'm like, yeah, it's probably time that I shave my legs. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something that I'm always super aware of or thinking about because, first of all, I'm, like, single and I'm just chilling.
Yep.
But also, like, even if I was in a relationship, like, if it bothered my partner... first of all, I'd be like, why does that fucking bother you? And then I'd be, like, talking about it. But personally, even for me, like, I don't like to be super hairy. That's just, like, a me thing for me. Like, you know, like, if I see that my leg hair is, like, really long, then I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, it's time to shave. Because, like, I mean, that's just, like, a personal thing, you know? Yeah. Just because I don't like to be too hairy. In terms of, like, your arms, right? I remember the first time I actually shaved my arms, I was in like 4th grade. And that was because I was surrounded by a bunch of bitches who were going through puberty really early. And I was just kind of like, oh, if that's what other people are doing, that's what I should be doing, right? And then mom was like, why the fuck are you shaving your arms? And I was like, I don't know. And she was like, yeah, you don't need to do that. And I was like, hey, bet. And then, so I like did that maybe twice. And I was like, yeah, this is too much work. I don't need to do this. Because I was in fucking 4th grade. Yeah. What the fuck? But that's when you start to be sexualized at that fucking age. Yep. And I was like, wow, we are really, really way too young to be thinking about that kind of shit. Yeah. So that's that. But in terms of like facial hair, man, yo, I will never forget the first time I got my eyebrows done. It was in 6th grade. I was with Lila and her mom, and Lila was getting her eyebrows done. And then Sylvia was like, oh, do you want to get your eyebrows done? I'll pay for it. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I didn't think about it at all. I was just kind of like, whatever, you know, just getting your eyebrows done. But it was like my first time, right? And then we get my eyebrows done. Sylvia takes a picture. She sends it to mom, and mom freaks the fuck out. And she was pissed. And I was like, I really don't understand why you're so upset. I thought she was mad because I did it without her permission, But I think she was mad because, one, she probably wanted to be there. Two, she thought my eyebrows were fine. But after getting my eyebrows done, I realized my eyebrows were not fine. Or three, she thought I was too young to get my eyebrows done. But honestly, like, I liked it. I was like, yo, my face looks different and it looks cute. I like it. And it's like, you know, my shit was in shape and like whatever. It was like the first time I ever like actually took care of my eyebrows. And ever since that day, it has been an evolution of how I take care of my eyebrows and how I take care of other people's eyebrows.
Especially mine.
Especially yours.
Since that dreaded fucking day.
Oh Jesus, yeah. I have to monitor your eyebrows.
Oh my God.
But yeah, the worst thing, well, I just remember I've gone through so much with my eyebrows in terms of like that. And then also in terms of like, you know, I went from waxing to getting them plucked by Blanca after track practice and then being hella thin. What a look that was. To then now where I just get them threaded because my skin's really sensitive and like it lasts longer and it's like defined. But the thing is, the worst thing that happens when you go to get your eyebrows done is when you're like, okay, I'm just getting my eyebrows done. And the lady's like, oh, mustache too? And you're like, bitch. And then you're just like, yes. So like now whenever I go, I'm just like, just do my whole face. Just do the whole goddamn thing. But to bring it back to other types of like hair related things, have you ever thought about dyeing your hair?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I don't want to though. I mean,
so like wait, what was like your why did your like thoughts change on that?
I've never really wanted to dye it. Like I've wanted my hair to be a different color. But I feel like it's kind of doing that anyways. So like, you know, like whenever I go out into the sun, it just randomly becomes lighter. So fuck it. Also dyeing your hair. I've heard so many of my friends dye their hair and I just hear about like, oh, it just feels so dry or like, oh, it just feels like this and it kills your hair and all this stuff and bleaching it. And like, I would totally have to bleach it since I have dark hair. Like,
well, actually that's not true because the first time that I got my hair dyed, I didn't have to bleach it. I just did like a temporary color that kind of sat on the surface of my hair. So my hair dyeing story, like honestly, my whole life, oh my God, my hair was so policed. Like it was always like braided or kind of like loosely wavy from the braids or like straightened whenever my mom was straightened it. Like it was very, very policed until high school where I had more control over my hair. Yet in high school, I still wasn't able to like go get a haircut without like my mom's permission. Haircuts were just like not a thing for me, or like the idea of dyeing your hair. And like I always wanted to dye my hair, but like now I totally understand why mom was like, hell no. And it's probably because hella expensive to upkeep that shit. Yeah. And it damages the shit out of your hair, especially if you have curly hair. There isn't like a product that is okay for you. And then the upkeep in terms of like conditioning it and making sure it's okay. So then when I was in college is when I like was like, okay, I'm going to dye my hair, because I was also like, I had access to a hairdresser who was pretty professional and could help me maintain that.
And your whole bathtub didn't have to turn yellow.
Yeah,
or something.
Exactly. Like, right. So for me, I was like, okay, cool. So I did this like red velvety violet-y color and I loved it so much. But I was able to like take care of my hair. Whereas like if you don't have that access, then it's probably not a good idea for you to do that to yourself, you know, because then you're just going to look janky, you know? Yeah. I feel like you had a thought and I kind of like...
No, I didn't.
No? Okay.
No, I was just talking about like people who dye their hair themselves and like, you know, it's a process. Like, you know, it's a lot of work to get your hair to stay a different color for a long time. And then like keeping that stuff clean. Like, you know, I've seen people...
It's literally
like,
science.
Yeah, your pillow gets ruined by the sleep sweat. Like, you know, it's like people's faces. Like, you know, like it bleeds down. Like, if you don't do it right, then like you're gonna look unique for a while. Like, and then eventually you might get the look you're going for. But yeah, it's a lot of work if you... And like, that's where money comes involved. And then again, like, I don't have fucking money to dye my hair.
Facts.
Like, yeah.
Facts.
So might as well let, you know, the sun do it.
True.
Free.
What about like cutting your hair? I know you kind of got into this earlier, but like, What, especially as a guy, like what's like your barbershop experience? You know what I mean?
Okay, so like the one fucking time I went to a barbershop was pink and blue, and it was this I don't even know how to explain it. Brazilian, that was it. But it was the like place near our house, and they gave me a fade, and like,
oh god,
oh yeah, and I came out, and then I looked in the mirror, and I was like, I have never felt more like a beautiful woman than right now. So I don't know what anyone is talking about when they say I look like a girl with long hair. So yeah, so that was like my barbershop experience. We went to another barbershop, and like, I just remember like sitting in the chair and like not enjoying it, but
it was like Angelo's or something.
Yeah, but it didn't hurt.
Yeah.
And that was the only thing that I liked more about it than like, because when mom and dad use like the buzzer, it doesn't hurt me, but like whenever like mom would like pull my hair and use scissors, then like that would be, yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Well, before we had like the electric hair cutter, then like mom would use like a comb and like,
really,
you know, yeah.
Wow, I was not there for that.
Yeah, well, because I would probably be like half naked crying.
Oh, you make it sound like prison.
Well, no, it was just super fucking dramatic. But yeah, so that was a lot of my growing up, and then like once I got to like a certain age, I was just kind of like, all right, this shit fucking hurts. And then dad would be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And I would just be like fucking crying. Like, it's fine. It's literally fine. Like,
it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Although I remember hearing my friends be like, and even people I know now, they're like, I get my hair cut every 2 weeks, or I go to my guy every this much. And I'm like, that is so much money. Like,
yeah, it's so much money and time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But again, even like the level of money that guys spend on their hair is definitely still less than what women spend on their hair. Well, if you're a woman that has long hair versus having short hair, you know? Whereas, like, if you're a woman and you're rocking a more, like, a short cut, pixie cut kind of a look, there's probably less spending that you're doing. But if you're a woman with long hair or medium-sized hair, then you're more likely to spend a shit ton of money on products, a shit ton of money on getting your hair done, you know? Or, like, whatever you have to do to upkeep it.
When you have more hair.
Exactly.
So you go through conditioner faster, you go in, like... Oh my god, like the different kinds of products that you need to use because your hair gets used to shit. Like you're just like,
you have to switch it up. You gotta like wake up your scalp.
Damn, I love Cantu, and then your hair's like, I'm so sick of Cantu, and you're just like, eat the Cantu, bitch.
True.
Yeah, I've been rocking Shea Moisture in my hair, saying, "Hey Simon, I'm done." I'm like, "No, you're not. No, you're not.
No, you're
like,
not till I get my money's worth, bitch.
I paid for this. Like, you're not doing anything. I work for you.
Literally.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, as I mentioned earlier, my hair was really policed as I was growing up. And now that I have that freedom of kind of just doing my hair, it's funny, like, whenever I, like, tell guys, oh, yeah, I'm gonna go get a haircut, they're like, no, why? And I'm just like, why the fuck are you freaking out? And there's just, like, this whole, like, thing that guys are just attracted to women with long hair because it's a more feminine thing, which, as you mentioned earlier, hair is a garden, right? So it's your upkeep. That is the grass that grows out of your hair, your head. But there's this idea of, like, being fertile, like soil in a garden, and, like, fertility being feminine, and, like, that being attractive, hence long hair. And I'm sure that there are studies that show, like, the difference between the attraction towards a woman with long hair and short hair, and how, like, when women cut their hair that are really short or shorter, they're seen as more masculine and independent and, like, I don't need no man, etc. Or, like, they're going through a phase. But also it's like, I don't know, man, like, just because it's a non-traditional feminine look, then that should not be a fucking threat to your masculinity. Just because a woman looks better rocking that hairdo than you do should not be a threat to you. Or you shouldn't be less attracted to a woman because her hair is short.
Yeah, that's just the fragile masculinity freaking complex that people have, like, where they're just scared of anyone really being themselves because they can't manipulate them anymore. Sorry, I'm just getting too deep into
go
this.
there. Please go there.
But yeah, even, like, that kind of made me think of, who was it, Melka? When she no, the Ethiopian teacher, I don't remember, but one of our Ethiopian teachers that when she got pregnant, her hair grew like crazy, but like the whole time that we didn't she didn't have a kid, she always had really, really short hair. So like I remember she left and she like didn't come to church for a little while because of the cultural tradition of, you have a baby, you have to wait until the baby gets baptized to come back. And then she comes back and she has super long hair. And I was just thinking like, oh, like, that's kind of an end result. Like, it's like, it's not a thing that you see before someone, like, it's not something that is immediately attractive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where it's like, okay, I see someone with long hair, like, I have to put a baby in them. It's like, no, like, this person will have long hair and take care of my child well. Like, it's like...
Okay, so it's like that affiliation?
It's
and
like
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because even when I went to go get my hair cut, I saw my hairdresser, and we only see each other, like, once every few months. And her hair was longer. And I was like, yo, your hair grew. And it wasn't that long since I've seen her. She was like, yeah, I'm taking prenatal vitamins. And I was like, what? So I was like, oh, prenatal vitamins, make your hair longer. Yeah, whatever, right? But I never thought about that. And that's an interesting connection. Thanks for bringing that up.
Also, fun fact, I heard that hair and fingernails are made from the same thing.
That's why they grow together.
Forever.
Forever.
Well, not forever, but till you're dead forever.
Yes. Going back to why I brought that up. If a woman wants to rock short hair, you should not feel threatened because it has literally nothing to do with you. And it has literally everything to do with them.
Yeah.
So, like, let people do what they gonna do. Because if they want to do that, that's their choice. Because it's their body.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Fuck.
But it did made me think about this idea of power that comes with having long hair. And like the story of Samson and Delilah in the Bible, where like Samson had hair that was really long and strong, and then Delilah, his side piece, was like, Samson's so strong, I'm gonna take his hair and fucking chop that shit off. And then she did. When he was sleeping, he woke up, he's like, yo, I have no power no mo. Right? And then I don't know the rest of that story, but that's just the part that everybody always talks about.
Do you want to know the rest of the story?
Do you know the rest of the story?
Yeah.
Oh, tell it, please.
So Delilah was working with, was it the Philistines? And then I think that was the bad guy in the story. And so she cuts all his hair off and is... Yeah, and then in his sleep, they tie him to a pole, they have a party, and then he's like, God, my side hoe betrayeth me. And then God was like, I knoweth. And then Samson was like, I'm gonna rip this pillar down and kill everybody. And God was like, you do you, honey boo boo. And then it was, Kya! And then they all fucking died.
So it was really, the power wasn't in his hair, it was because of God?
Well, because he was with God when he had more hair. Like, like...
But when he was tied up to the pole, he didn't have hair. Right?
Okay, so he was born, and he didn't even, like... It was the whole thing where, like, his parents started trying to, like, cut his hair, and he was like, nah, God said no haircuts. And then they were like, aight, cool. And then, like, he became, like, an awesome warrior because he never got no haircuts. And then, yeah. So, like, he had the connection with God, and then he, like, tried to be with this woman.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it wasn't because of his hair. It was because he had a connection with God.
But the hair was the connection with God until Delilah cut it off. Because he chose Delilah over,
over spirituality and shit. He chose his side hoe.
Yeah, and then his side hoe was like, nah, bitch. And then
moral of the story, don't choose your side hoe.
Over God.
But there's also, obviously, have a connection with God that's not just about your hair.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. That's a good story. I didn't know about that. Well, now you know. Jesus tips with Simon.
Ethiopian culture camp.
Definitely don't talk about that at ECC.
Maybe.
The reason why I bring up this story is because it reminds me of how in other cultures, like, having hair is, like, a symbol of, like, wisdom or strength and, like, being the root of your culture and identity and self. Specifically, I'm talking about, like, Rastafarianism.
Yep.
So, like, I don't know if y'all know, but the reason why our father had dreads was because he used to be Rasta. And, Dad always talks about this when he sees other people with dreads and they're, like, clean dreads, quote unquote, which means, like, they're styled and put together and they're just, like, clean, or they just, like, look neat. he'll just be like, they're not really Rasta. If they were really Rasta, they would have dreads that look like Peter Tosh and Bob Marley, which are kind of like the more free-flowing, like chunky dreads, you know, that are kind of like a bit frizzy, but like it's a look, you know? Because the reason why they rock their hair like that is a form of protest. It's a form of rebellion. It's against Eurocentric beauty standards. It's against colonialism. It is celebrating Afrocentric hairstyles. It is celebrating black hair. But it's also because it is a symbol of, you know, your strength and wisdom and whatnot.
Yeah. Patience.
So, yes, patience.
Yeah, that definitely has something to do with it.
So for me, when I when I see like other like white people with dreads, I'm very, 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 very judgy because I'm like, okay, you're culturally appropriating because you don't really know what the significance is behind these dreads. And it's usually like women with dreads that I see that make me really uncomfortable rather than, I mean, I just haven't seen any white guys with dreads. But I'm sure they fucking exist and like they're trying to rock that like hippie look. But again, it's a matter of like, you're not even doing this for the intention, right? Like, and again, who am I to assume that I know what your intentions are? But usually when people or like when white people are rocking dreads, it's not because they are like actually trying to like spread a message or they're trying to be like Afrocentric on purpose because you're fucking white. You don't have nappy coarse hair like black people. So it doesn't make sense. Like dreads were literally not meant for your fucking hair texture. Yeah. You know?
It's just literally them matting.
It's literally you being rebellious against black people. It's fucking offensive. And it's fucking insulting.
So I want to ask you about this. Would you say dad's hair was cultural appropriation?
I don't know because I do not know enough about Rastafarianism and if it's like a requirement for people to have dreads, you know what I mean?
Well, Rastafarianism is like a religion. Yeah. Right? And so I remember Dad telling me about like, you know, I don't remember if it was Rasta or if it was the Nazarites, but it was something about like you can't drink wine or like.
Oh yeah, that's the Nazarites.
That's it. Okay, yeah. Where you can't cut your hair. Like, you know, there's just like certain like orthodox or like really old ways of like believing in like your own kind of spirituality based on like different kinds of asceticism of like you have to hold yourself to this standard and like you can't, you know, do certain things. And so, like, yeah, I would say if you're following it religiously, like, you know, I feel like it is a part of your identity, so you're not appropriating.
But also be aware that people are going to challenge you.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be like, majority of the people who I've seen rocking that hairstyle are not people that look like you, so what the fuck are you doing that? You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I remember when Dad cut his hair... And, you know, we have only known Dad the first 6-ish years of our life having dreads. So when Dad cut his fucking dreads, I was shook because I'd never seen a photo of Dad without dreads. I've never seen him without dreads. Mm-hmm. And I remember this day vividly. Like, we came home. I was walking up the stairs, opened the door, and this white guy opened the door with, like, no hair, no stash, nothing, like clean shaven, everything. And I just looked at him like so discerningly. I just stared at him. I was like, who the fuck is that? And I didn't say anything. I was just looking at him like mad confused. And he's like, hi, Ozzy. And I was like, what? And then I just see Paul Cacciaputi, my dad's best friend, with a plastic bag of dreads. And I'm like, what is going on in here? And Paul Cacciaputi's like, yeah, this is your dad's hair. And I was like, what? And then I look at Dad, and I'm like, who are you? And he's like, I'm your dad. And I'm like, no, you're not. And I was just like, I don't know who this man is for like a whole day. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to accept that this is my dad because I'm very confused right now. Oh, man.
Yeah. No, when Dad fucking cut his hair, that was just like a staple in like our childhood. Like that was just, okay, cool. Shit changes. Like it's just, you know, the world will never be the fucking same. Like, Because Dad never grew his hair back out after that because of...
Well, there was reasons.
Well, yeah.
First of all, he did not take care of his hair. It was nasty.
Yeah, and he was
Dude
working,
had crabs.
Okay, because he was working in the swamps, so, yeah, like, you got dreadlocks, you're not putting anything over it when you work in the goddamn swamps of Massachusetts. So, yeah, he got crabs twice.
Nasty.
And he said that he, like, washed his hair and, like, all the dead crabs came out and he's like, no, this is out. I'm done.
He's like, I can't do this no more.
Oh my god. That was just fucking hilarious.
Oh man. But then it made me think about like times that I've done a big chop. And like my definition of a big chop is definitely not like what the big chop is for most women. Like when most women do the big chop, they like shave their fucking hair down. You know what I mean? Or they just do like a solid like snip snip. That's like, at least like a little fro. But for me, I don't know. The first one I did was like in high school, and it was because it was supervised. And like my hair used to be like up to basically like my ass. And then like my mom was like, okay, if you want to do like a haircut, like you can do like a haircut. And we did like maybe up to like halfway through my arm. But that was like pretty big for me. But then like a couple years ago, it was like 2 years ago, this was like my favorite haircut. I got like a long bob and it was like so dope. Like I loved that haircut. And it was just like the perfect amount of short. And like when it was curly, it was cute and just like fluffy, whatever. I don't know. It was just fun. But ever since then, I've just been growing it out. So that slides right into my next part of what are your hair goals?
I want my hair to get down past my shoulders. That's...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's where I want to go because my hair is so fucking tightly curled.
Yeah, it is.
Like, that's
gonna take a while,
forever.
bro. Oh my god, it's gonna be so beautiful.
Yeah. So
I'm excited.
That's what I'd say.
Because everyone always asks me, and I'm like, you guys, I don't fucking know what Simon wants to do with his hair. Ask him.
No one asks me.
Exactly, because they asked me.
Yeah, they like to just be like, "Oh my god, your hair is just so cool, wow!" And I'm like, "Thanks, it's my fucking hair. I try."
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I definitely feel like I'm gonna like trim it a little bit along the way.
It'll help it grow.
Exactly. Also, I just feel the ends, and I'm like, these are dead. It's been 4 fucking years. So yeah, I definitely need to get some dead things cut off, but. I'm just committed to growing it as long as possible. Unless I become famous, if someone wants to pay me millions of fucking dollars, I'll cut my hair. But other than that, keep it forever. How about you?
For me, I'm going through a interesting time with my hair. I've been growing it out, and my goal is to continue growing it out. But I'm also trying to like unlearn that behavior of like straightening my hair too often, which I've actually been doing a really good job. Like over the summer, I only straightened it once, and I'm like really proud of myself because normally it would not be that much. But I know it's going to be harder in the fall and the winter where it's cold, so it's easier to just straighten my hair and call it a day. Because I won't be worried about like sweating it out. But anytime that I straighten my hair, it damages my curls. So my goal is to really focus on my curl patterns and like, continuing to deep condition every week, making sure that like, I'm sleeping with like a satin or cotton, like silky kind of head wrap that like keeps my curls in check and like doesn't scratch or ruin the texture. But also like, taking the right vitamins and like eating the right food, continuing to drink enough water, which is like what what everyone should be doing to take care of themselves. But how that affects your hair growth. So it's not only a matter of just growing my hair, but making sure that my curls are okay. So, getting like trims every once in a blue moon to make sure that everything's in check.
Yep.
But also like normalizing curly hair in a professional setting, especially in formal settings. So like, for example, if I know I'm going to go to a wedding, or I know I'm going to a big work conference, or I know that I'm going to be like, somewhere where you would normally be like, oh, let me go, let me go straighten my hair. Then I would try to find a style or something that isn't damaging to my hair or my curls, that would normalize my hair, because I want to be part of that representation for people who look like me and have my hair type, to be like, oh, like she's doing it, that means I can do it,
Yeah.
So again, it's like another form of protest, but also like as I've been doing this, I've really appreciated the natural beauty that I've been able to appreciate from myself and from my hair. And just actually acknowledging like, oh, this shit's actually fucking beautiful when you take care of it and you're not straightening it and damaging it, So yeah.
You just reminded me of something. So I forgot to mention this earlier, but I was thinking about when I go to my job stuff, like if anyone who was ever in an interview where I was is listening to this podcast, you may have noticed this. In all of my interviews, I go with my hair in a bun, like, you know, just kind of pulled back, but with an elastic. And then, like, every interview, my hair will be like that, just to show, like, yep, I am contained, I am a normal person, like, blah, 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 I'm business professional. And then the first day, it's just like, okay, my hair's not going to be like that all the time. Get used to this, bitches.
Yeah.
Like,
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. But let's slide into the key takeaways and wrap this up. Simon, do you have any key takeaways?
I'd say your hair is your hair, and you shouldn't be ashamed of it ever, no matter what kind of things people try to instill in you as young as you are when you hear these things. You know, just be confident and proud of who you are and what you can grow. It really doesn't matter if you have a full head of hair, or if you like to be bald, if you like to have, you know, hair down to your ass or longer. Like, it's just about being who you are and not letting other people identify you on your hair, but letting you identify what your hair means to yourself.
Amen.
That would be my key takeaway.
Word.
How about you yourself?
I have two. So we live in a world, as I mentioned, where eurocentric beauty standards are the norm. So when Afrocentric hair is being celebrated, I encourage you to uplift that community rather than slander it. And this goes for people of color too, because internalized oppression is real. So really check yourself before you are about to slam somebody for what they choose to do with their hair. Because my part 2 takeaway is, at the end of the day, as we have mentioned, your hair is a part of your body. So whatever you choose to do with it, you can do whatever you want. And don't judge other folks for what they choose to do with their hair. Word. Simon, do you have any announcements?
No, but can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Okay, so you reminded me of this because of the internalized oppression thing. In case any of you don't believe that internalized oppression is real, or you don't really understand the concept, here's what it is. The article that I brought up earlier, this was a big thing that I forgot to mention. The most comments that these black women were getting about how their hair should be straight, or how they were deceiving the company by wearing the hair straight in an interview, or like any kind of stuff like that, were from fellow black colleagues. Yeah, so it's totally internalized. Like, you know, they've heard it so much, so they regurgitate it. As a community, as a society, that's what we learn in school. Like, you hear information, you say it to other people the way that you learn it. You don't have to fucking do that, guys. Break the goddamn cycle.
Yes.
All right, that's my announcement.
Thanks for your announcement. PSAs with Simon. I have a special announcement. Well, in case you didn't know, Scorpio season is among us.
Scorps.
It's coming. It's not right now, but it's coming, y'all.
Zoomsies.
Currently, we're in Libra season, which is okay.
Aye.
But we all know how Scorpio season goes. So we're just going to be real quick. On Friday, November 1st, from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., the Freitae Effect is hosting a roller skating fundraiser.
Yes.
Because this shit ain't free. And we need to make some money. Because, you know, it's hard to maintain a podcast. It's expensive. But also because I want to celebrate my birthday with y'all.
Funsies.
So from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Friday, November 1st, Shebu Roller Skating Rink, 11 Rhodes, Rhoades, Rhodes Street, Dorchester, Mass. Bring your friends. The flyer will be available on Instagram and other social medias. So feel free to share it, tag us in it, come through. We encourage you to dress up. You can wear 70s attire because it's Hello Weekend. Wear whatever you want. I don't care. I just want to see everybody. I want y'all to pop out, and we're going to have a great time. Last announcement. As I mentioned, my hairstylist, Danya, she the shit. She is currently going through barber school. And she's looking for people that she can practice on. So
Snip.
if you're interested on being a model for my Danya, let us know and we can direct you to do her. Sorry, I can't speak English.
Yes, you can.
All right, let's do the sign off.
Oh my God.
Send it.
Oh, me? Okay. Be sure to like the episode, share with friends, and follow us on social media. Subscribe and comment on SoundCloud. Follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you guys stream us.
And leave a review with any feedback or affirmations and comments.
Or any topics that you want to hear. You can email us at thefreideseffect@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your week. Love ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.